All right, all right. Thank you so much for everyone joining this February 1 AIM Illinois Coalition call. We truly appreciate it. We decided to do a Zoom meeting as opposed to our typical Zoom webinar. So please feel free to come off camera, show your beautiful faces on this lovely Monday morning post Super Bowl. We're excited to have an amazing list of guest speakers. We have Alderman Ronnie Mosley of the 21st Ward, someone that I call a brother and true champion for gun violence prevention here in the city and quite frankly all across the country. He's done amazing organizing in the space and continues to do so as an incredible elected official. We have Artenise Merrick of Live Free, one of the best organizations running out of Chicago. They have amazing work that they're helping to lead and spearhead. Artenise will talk a little bit more about their latest push for the Office of Violence Reduction here in Chicago, for those of you that are in Chicago. And then we have Sonia Tompkins of the AG's office to talk to you a little bit about some programs running for survivors. So we have a jam-packed schedule. I know we're all going to get a whole lot out of it. I'm excited. We're going to get started with Alderman Ronnie Mosley. Give me 1 second. I'll go ahead and spotlight Alderman Ronnie Mosley. 1 sec. All right. Alderman Mosley. I almost called you Ronnie. I'm so used to calling you Ronnie, but this is your official capacity. Alderman Mosley, thanks so much for joining this call. Could you share a little bit about you and how you got involved in the gun violence prevention movement? And then I got a couple questions for you.
Sure. Thank you all so much. If I seem a little double occupied, I got a committee meeting in my ear. They may call for a vote. So if there's a slight pause, that may be why. But I'm Ronnie Mosley, and I have the esteemed pleasure of serving as Alderman of the 21st Ward here in the city of Chicago. It is the largest ward of Chicago, over 255 miles, 77, 7 of Chicago's 77 community areas. A place that I'm born and raised in 21st or old 21st Ward. So I was educated, my grammar school, my high school was all in the old 21. And when you hear me talk about where it began for me, I often start my story in high school with my friend Blair Hope, who was killed leaving Julian High School, a school that now I get to represent. But it really even transcends really before my birth. My mom had me at the age of 14, and it was a cousin who told her that she could still graduate from high school and be the amazing mom that I know today. And sadly, months before I was born, he was shot and killed returning to our home. And in homage to him, my mother gave me his name. I have an uncle who was a victim of gun violence. He was a part of a gang, and that resulted in him being paralyzed from the waist down. Luckily, he is still with us today. So all those things were around me before I got to know Blair. And my community just told me, what you see in front of you is not your move. We need you to go out, learn the best, bring it back. And that's what I've been working on. I went away to college, found out that gun violence was something that you cannot just escape, no matter where you were in this country. The first semester in college in Atlanta, a student from Spelman was killed on the campus of Clark Atlanta University, and it propelled me right back into action. I worked with then State Senator Vincent Fort, and we were able to block dangerous guns everywhere bill. It would allow guns on bars, campuses, churches, airports, and so forth for a number of years. That caught the attention of Center for American Progress. And we started to talk about what we can do with our generation, the millennial generation, around gun violence. And we organized the first millennial gun violence network called Fight for a Future. Took a white paper and made it into real actions and sent folks back home with plans on how they can best work to eradicate gun violence. That led to work with the White House, Office of Public Engagement, Champions of Change. I've had the ability to work in and around every level of government. So I'm thankful to be back with you all, linked in arms, continuing to fight this fight, which is going to be a new wave going forward. When we talk about some of the things that are here at the city, and what we have put forward to support great organizations and people like you on this call, those things are at risk. We are fighting, and we think we have a good chance of having them for this year, but we do not know what the years fold ahead with this next or this current White House administration and their disruption to funding to vital services that help you all do great and amazing work. And so with that, I'll pass it back to Brother Emmons for some questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alderman Mosley. You kind of touched on it towards the end of your talking your talking points, but can you talk a little bit more about what the city of Chicago is doing to reduce gun violence, and which ways can other cities around the state help Chicago and vice versa, and use Chicago as a blueprint to serve for other communities around the city of Chicago?
Yeah, I think Chicago under this mayoral administration started a different path, right? Like someone who has frequently been at the table. I often arrived at that table with it already being set, with the folks, the decision makers around that table, really having a sense of what they wanted to do from go. This administration came in and wanted to kind of flip that on its head and says, let's pause, let's really put the emphasis on people, and make sure that our solutions are people based. You've seen that arrive in multiple forms, whether you're talking about direct assistance to individuals, whether that's funding for organizations that best know this work, whether that's investments and mental health resources. I'm very glad it's not in my ward, but still one of the community areas that I represent. Roseland, we opened up the Roseland Health Hub that was a former mental health clinic that was closed that is now back open and servicing the Roseland area beyond just mental health needs. But I think most critically, and what's important is some of the advancements, or you have seen a new council emerge for pushing more and more of the peace book to be implemented in its full entirety, right? You know, this is something that has started with my seatmate, Jeanette Taylor, Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor of the 20th Ward, went to past alders such as Leslie Harrison and Roger Sawyer, and is now with Jesse Fontes, Alderwoman Jesse Fontes, and also Alderman Desmond Yancey of the 25th and the, I'm sorry, 26th and the 5th wards.
Thank you, thank you. Really appreciate that. We have a little bit of time. If anyone has any questions for Alderman Mosley, let's see.
Do I support an Office of Gun Violence Prevention in Chicago? Yes, this is one of the things that when I first came in and started talking to, there's the CSSC, which is tasked with kind of coordinating multiple offices. I actually used to be the Deputy Cannabis Regulation Oversight Officer for the state, where our office was tasked with working with 14 different agencies to keep equity at the forefront of the cannabis legalization work here in the state of Illinois. And it is just a task. Every department has its own priorities, and we were the ones to constantly remind them that equity is what we need you to lead with on all efforts as it relates to when it comes from cannabis and the use of the tax dollars that come from it. There's no difference here in the city of Chicago. Everyone has their own budget and their own priorities that shift at times. For me, it is a better way to govern and more efficient way of governing, of having one central body that gets to direct those things, as opposed to having it live in multiple departments all throughout. I'm hoping that as we really start this budget, conversation earlier this year, that's one of the things that we look at as we talk about cost saving expenditures, because this is one thing that I think could save us on costs and save lives at the same time.
Thank you, thank you. One other question. Wasn't there an office of GVP in Chicago within the last few years? I think that's the state that has the office of GVP, but Ronnie, could you clarify?
Yeah, the state does have one, and again, there's you can call it different things like offices and so forth that may live within the mayor's office that happen under Mayor Lightfoot. This mayor has designated a deputy mayor of public safety that work lives with as well. If you look at where a lot of the gun violence prevention work lives, it's actually in the Chicago Department of Public Health. And we can say rightfully so, right? Gun violence is a public health epidemic. But we want to really centralize things when we talk about working with those people-based solutions and organizations, having a conversation with uh, direct decision makers at the table and not having it through multiple, go see this commissioner, Department of Public Health, Department of Family Support Services, and so forth. It better aids the work that you all are doing, in my opinion.
Thank you, thank you. That's all the questions that we had in the chat. Alderman Mosley, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you spending with us, even though I know you have a busy schedule on this Monday. Um, how can we stay in touch with you, Alderman Mosley?
Well, I hope that you will invite me out. I've seen a couple. I know you all have been meeting. I've walked through city halls and saw a couple folks coming for meetings. Invite me to those meetings. I know that you all are going to be active through council and want to be there with you. Sorry, a vote.
All good, all good. We'll let you get back to it. Alderman Mosley, thank you so much for your time. Yeah, we can't wait to see what you continue to do in the city of Chicago. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you all. Thank you.
All right. So this is a perfect segue to Artenise to talk about Live Free's latest push for the Office of Violence Reduction in the city of Chicago. Artenise, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert. Can you all see my screen? And can you all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to One Aim. It is great to be close partners with an organization who values community, who values life, and is looking to prevent and reduce gun violence across the state. So thank you all for this space, and thank you, Robert. Thank you, Yo, for everything that you all do. I am especially happy to hear that Alderman Mosley supports an Office of Gun Violence Reduction. And I'm excited to tell you all more and be able to answer some more of those questions here today. So Live Free has been, is a faith-based organization, again, geared towards ending mass incarceration, gun violence, and police violence. We believe in doing this through organizing the Black church as well as organizing individuals directly impacted on the ground. We have been championing an Office of Gun Violence Reduction since 2017. And what we've learned is that there is a commitment from other cities and states to create an Office of Gun Violence Reduction. And we have others. We have a state Office of Gun Violence Reduction. We have one in Kankakee, Illinois, Waukegan, Illinois, Joliet, Illinois. And so we want Chicago, the major city in the state of Illinois, to make this commitment as well. And what we've also seen is that across the country, this has been a major push. Live Free USA was integral to creating an Office of Gun Violence Reduction federally at the White House. Unfortunately, since the new administration has been in office, there is no longer an Office of Gun Violence Reduction through the White House. And so, again, this is why we are really asking for local cities and local municipalities to make the commitment so that we don't have to wait for the federal government to take things away from us, right? And we're making sure that the local spaces and people on the ground have an Office of Gun Violence Reduction to go to continue to build life. I'll talk more about what this office is looking to do. So The Office of Gun Violence Reduction, like Alderman Mosley said, it's a plan to centralize all of the gun violence reduction efforts in the city of Chicago. As you know, there's plenty of different gun violence reduction strategies that come up, but if I could describe what I see the gun violence reduction scene in the city of Chicago is that there's a many puzzle pieces, and we have a beautiful picture we can create, but we actually have to put those puzzle pieces together. And so it's really a space for us to centralize and streamline. What I've also seen from the city of Chicago historically is that a new crisis might come up, and we're coming up with a new violence reduction plan. And what we would like to do is make sure that there's a 5-year plan so that, again, we're looking towards a long-term gun violence reduction strategy. Experts say that it takes about 10 years for communities to feel the material changes of a gun violence reduction strategy. So we cannot wait for a new crisis or something to come up to actually put a long-term plan for gun violence reduction. So as I mentioned, Live Free's been championing this since 2017. 2017, Live Free Illinois and faith leaders met with the Emanuel administration, who created a 10-page report on Our City, Our Safety plan, and began with a task force. We then, in 2019, looked to launch the Fund Peace campaign, where we've asked for the city of Chicago to commit to funding the office for $100 million. In 2020, we introduced our first ordinance through Alderman Sawyer to create an Office of Gun Violence Reduction. We saw that when Mayor Lightfoot's administration came in, that they started the CSCC, which Alderman Mosley talked about, and it was more of a micro level plan that was in certain communities to do service works that was impacting gun violence reduction. In 2022, we also saw we reintroduced this ordinance. Again, we're keeping steady on asking for this ordinance to be implemented. One of the largest parts about this ask is that there's tons of gun violence reduction strategies, like I mentioned, but they can be wiped away due to any political whim. So even the great work that the mayor is doing now with the People's Plan, if it is not codified or institutionalized through ordinance, the next mayor or whoever comes into power can take this away. And so we want to make sure this is institutionalized. We are also working with the national offices of gun violence reduction, and we've learned that there are 77 other cities across the country who have made a commitment to creating an Office of Gun Violence Reduction and actually have them institutionalized within and chartered within their cities. Milwaukee is one. New Orleans has one. Philadelphia, Denver, Jacksonville are all institutionalized offices of gun violence reduction. So the main thing we're asking here for is a long-term plan, long-term funding, and for this office to be institutionalized. Historically, what we've seen is that there's been different, like Alderman Mosley mentioned, you might have an office that is built underneath the mayor's office. However, what we've seen is that there's been deputy mayors that have high turnover. We've seen at least 5 deputy mayors in the last 5 years. We also have not seen fully staffed offices that, again, have the personnel and the capacity of folks who can do research, policy making, re-granting, to make sure that the long-term plan actually happens. And so, again, a lot of what we're calling for is for a commitment for an office and ordinance to happen so that we can actually see the fruit of a long-term violence reduction plan. We've worked, again, tirelessly to meet with our aldermen, meet with our mayor and also do some public narrative around this. We've put Tribune columns out. We've coordinated a faith coalition who are from all sides of the city to make sure that we're advocating for this office. We just held a hearing with the CCPSA where we gathered over 3,000 signatures in less than 6 days of individuals calling for an Office of Gun Violence Reduction, which prompted the first ever hearing ever through the CCPSA. And we've also, again, we're redrafting the ordinance. We're getting the ordinance filed again and hoping to get this passed and get it through the Public Safety Committee and passed before May. And we've also released an analysis. So I talked about us advocating from this office from 2017 until now. We have an analysis of what that work looks like. What are the different offices that have popped up? What do they look like? And how do they differ from what we're asking for? So our concerns with what the plan looks like now is that there's lack of transparency. Again, there's limited visibility into what's happening with an Office of Gun Violence Reduction or the different plans that come out of it. As Alderman Mosley mentioned, a lot of gun violence reduction initiatives get swept under the rug of public health. We want an office that is totally focused on gun violence reduction on its own. We also want to make sure that there is a consistent strategy. How do we have a pool of stakeholders, survivors, witnesses of gun violence, experts who can come around the table and make a long-term strategy for this? And what we also know is we cannot continue to fund gun violence reduction in pennies, and the inconsistent funding does not allow for a strategy to actually, for us to see the fruit of what we're advocating for. Also, poor community engagement. Many find out what's happening through nice newsletters or things of that nature. We want to have a revolving feedback loop so that community members can give more information about and get more insight and ask the questions they want about gun violence reduction strategies, because who knows more than the people in the community that are impacted by gun violence. We want a well-developed plan with proper execution and feedback. So what we're hoping our office will do is also give evaluation about what the office has done, how funding has been shared, and be transparent about that, and make sure that the plan that is being followed is clear to community members. And again, also with the funding, there are tons of groups that we work with, like Giving Others Dreams, Hugs, who a lot of these groups and survivor groups are doing this out of their own pockets, and they're the trusted places that community members go to when they need support. Many are not walking into the Department of Public Health to figure out what they're doing. They're going to these staples in community. And so we would want this office to re-grant to those in the community who have been doing this work with paper clips and bubble gum, but who are very much the glue and very much the trusted entities within community. And again, build a centralized and streamlined strategy. How do we put all of these great plans together and make sure that we're all on one band and one sound? And again, we think without addressing these challenges that gun violence will not be prioritized, especially under the Department of Public Health. So again, we're asking for an ordinance to be created, to have guaranteed funding, establish a community advisory board, have procurement and re-granting powers for those organizations, and a fully staffed office. What we've also seen is there's tons of high turnover under this office. So then again, the plan is still very much inconsistent. We want citywide coordination. All of the city agencies, all of the CVI, victim services, healing services, youth prevention, faith-based initiatives should be working under this office to create a long-term plan. And we also do not want most of the violence reduction strategy to be only police. We want this to be a community-centered plan so that everyone's voice is at the table in terms of what their community needs. Why is organizing important? Right now, what we've learned is that philanthropy is holding the heaviness on how violence reduction is happening in the city of Chicago. We know that philanthropy can blow away like the wind, and so we want our city to make sure that this is institutionalized through a city budget. There's complexity for community-based organizations being able to hold the city accountable because we don't know what's going on and it's not transparent at this moment. And we want to be able to have community engagement so that we can have accountability and transparency when it comes to violence reduction. And again, we believe that this is how we shift from regraining public safety to bringing our collective imagination to life. We think we can create a world where public safety is rooted in community, not driven by law enforcement, and also envision a future where all of our neighborhoods thrive through collaboration, not just the high potential areas, but how do we create a full-on city strategy for this? We have a Fund Peace Coalition, which One Aim is a part of, Brady, Lurie's. We have a lot of individuals at the table and organizations who are all calling for this all across the city to create an office of gun violence reduction. So we want to continue to build this out. We don't believe this is just going to be a South Side or West Side strategy. We know we have to bring all parts of the city together. And I invite you all to take action with me. Meet with your alderman, ask them how can they create an office of gun violence reduction in the city. We have a petition that is linked here, and I believe I can put it in the chat as well, where we can ask aldermen to create an Office of Gun Violence Reduction. I also have a vision sheet that has everything that I laid out very quickly for you all today about what this office does, how does it create transparency, how does it create accountability, and how does it actually aim towards making a long-term violence reduction plan in the city of Chicago. And also stay in tune with One Aim for more updates. Again, they're one of our closest coalition partners, so they'll be joining us when we are able to have hearings with the Public Safety Committee, when we're looking to meet with aldermen, as well as build out public messaging around why we want this. And so stay tuned with One Aim so that we can together build towards a city of Chicago that feels safe for everyone. And I'll stop and see if there's any questions. I see the chat.
Artanice, first of all, everyone was thanking you for your service and this overall movement. What you're doing is incredible. We'll make sure everyone gets that copy of that link to the petition so everyone on this call can, one, sign it themselves, and then folks on this call represent hundreds of individuals, so they can send it out to their networks as well. So please drop in that link to the petition so we can get moving there. And then everyone on this call, please keep in mind what Artini said about making sure that everyone takes action and contacts our alders in our city so we can get this thing past the finish line. There are a few questions in the chat. I'll read Bradley. Is GVP already incorporated into CSC? What about the Mayor's Office of Community Safety, State of Illinois Office of Firearm Violence Prevention? So is GVP already incorporated in CSCC?
It is, but I would say it's more at a micro level. It's in select neighborhoods, and it's more about service coordination, I would say, rather than like pushing policy that looks towards a long-term plan. And then also the Mayor's Office of Community Safety, I would say that is an expanded version of what the CSCC is already doing. It's also in specific neighborhoods, more looking towards service coordination. And what we believe is all of that great work could go away if another administration comes in and says, we don't want to do this and we don't want to focus on that. And so we want to make sure that it's institutionalized and that there is a much more of a macro level plan that will be happening. And then also the state office does do a lot of work as well, but I don't think it's really entrenched in how the city is coordinating all of the services that it has.
Question from Shonda. Do you have to be a Chicago resident to be counted on for the petition, your petition, Live Freeze?
Yes.
Thank you. So even if you're not from Chicago on this call, I'll go as far as saying we all know someone from Chicago. So please send this out to your network in Chicago if you're not a resident of Chicago yourself. Artanice, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to continuing this work with you.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. 1 second, everyone. All right, our next speaker, I'm really excited about this, is Sonia Tompkins. She's an experienced outreach professional currently serving as a liaison from the Illinois Attorney General's office, where she works to foster communication and collaboration between the government and the community. Previously, she held a leadership role with the Cook County Treasurer's Office, spearheading initiatives such as Black Houses Matter. With a background as a longtime former talk radio producer with WVON 1690 AM, Sonia brings a wealth of experience in media, communication, and community engagement to her role. Sonia Tompkins, take it away.
Thank you, Robert. Oh my gosh, I have learned so much information, and I am so honored to be part of this panel to speak about the services that the Attorney General's office provides that goes untapped. And so I'm hoping that what I shared with you all today, that it could help you all with your future endeavors, okay? The information that the alderman provided to us is what I'm going to talk about when it comes to crime victim services. And also, and excuse me if I say your name wrong, is it Artanice? And
Yes,
Artanice,
ma'am.
what Artenise is doing as well. These are programs that we offer to the community. So let me get started because I have a lot to share. I'm only going to give you a small brief information on the three programs that Robert wanted me to share with you all. I'm going to start with all 5 or 6 of the programs that we offer. I'm just going to share that with you really quick. Let's see here. Okay, where are they? Did I lose them? All right, here we go. And let me know if you all can see this. Here, can you all see this one here?
We can see it.
You can see it? Great. So here are at least 6 programs that we offer, so you all can get an overview of everything that we offer. But I'm specifically here to talk about the compensation program, the Violent Crime Victim Assistance Program, and the statewide Victim Assistance Program. Definitely check out this brochure on our website so you can familiarize yourself with all the programs that we offer, because it is all important to survivors of violence. Okay, and even those who did not survive violence, that their relatives and family can be compensated for some things that may have happened in that capacity that they cannot keep up with. And I'm going to explain what that all means, okay? So I'm going to move on first and foremost to the Violent Crime Victim Assistance Program. Okay, let's start there. All right. So the Violent Crime Victim Assistance Program is to provide access to programs that supply needed information, assistance, and advocacy. What does that mean? Organizations that are already established. What we do is provide a grant for them to continue what they have been doing or to continue their advocacy for victims. Okay, not someone who is starting a new organization. Okay, but for those who are already established. Now, we provide victims, or this grant provide victims with access to programs that supply needed information, assistance, and advocacy. Okay, we give this grant for education. Okay, we give this grant to ensure that victim services agencies provide quality services to their victims. Okay, if you look a little bit below this, it says VCVA grant program supports the following types of victim services programs. Okay, child advocacy centers. I'm just going to go through them really quick. Community violence, training and technical assistance, sexual assault, homicide survivors, and of course, violence prevention. Right below that, it tells you the eligibility that you have to have in order to be part of this grant. Okay, and most of this grant, again, is going to those who are already have an established organization for violence prevention. Okay, now, unfortunately, when we talk about applying for this grant, it has come and gone. To apply for this grant, you have to do it at the beginning of the year, and it ended on February the 7th. And let me say this, don't panic, right? Because there's so much information to fill out. So if you want to apply for this grant, do so now. Okay, do so now so that you have all your ducks in a row and you'll be able to have all the information, ask all the questions that you need to have asked, and get your paperwork together. What I noticed is that documentation is so hard for some people. All right, and even though it's over with right now, you have all this time to make sure that your documents are up to par, up to speed. We have hotlines to assist you. Okay. You can talk to a real person. All right. So definitely read over this, guys. Read over it. If you have questions, please send the questions to me. I'm going to get you directly in contact with the person over this grant program. Every program we have, there's an individual to answer every question that you may have. Okay, so I will get you the answers if I cannot answer it. Send me, think about what you have to ask. Because I know a lot of times we can get off these calls and be like, man, I should have said, take your time. Send me the email and I will get you to the right person. Okay. Now, I'm going to move on from this only because the compensation program is our most popular program. And so I want to try to get to it as soon as possible. But let's go over the statewide victim assistance program. Okay, this program is basically for our attorneys and those who they are representing. Okay. And what this does is it gives them all of the programs and services that we offer. Okay, so right under direct victim assistance, the Office of the Attorney General provides direct services to crime victims and witnesses who are involved in cases in the Criminal Division, Sexually Violent Persons Bureau, and the Crime Victim Compensation Bureau. Now, what does that mean? What does that include? Okay, so victims are notified in their families and witness to crime of court dates and relays case information during various stages of criminal court processes. Prosecution assistance. I'm going to go through this quickly. Crime victim compensation, which I'm going to talk about in a few. Victims' right and referrals. Again, we have an assistant line. But what I'm going to do, if you have questions about this, send me your questions and I'm going to connect you directly to the person in charge. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Sorry that I'm going through this fast, but I have these time constraints and that's fine. But this one here, the Crime Victims Compensation Program, is our largest. It's our most popular. Okay, if you all heard the alderman talk about the violence he's experienced in his circle, and this is what we cover. Okay, his people would have been eligible for these compensation programs that we offer here. Okay, so the Crime Victim Compensation Program provides financial reimbursement. That's the key word here, reimbursement, to victims of violent crime who meet certain eligibility requirements. All right. If you look below, what are the basic qualification requirements? You have to file it. And when I talk about this, what I know again is that people don't want to comply to what we're asking them to qualify for. Okay, is the reason for this. And so you have to file an application within 5 years of the crime date. It's not bad, right? You have to notify the law enforcement within 72 hours of the crime's occurrence. All right? Cooperate with law enforcement to arrest and prosecute the offenders. These are important. Okay, the following also satisfies the notification and cooperation requirements. You have to obtain all of these things, people. You have to get it in order to get compensated. The victim must not be the offender in the criminal act and must not have provoked or incited the crime. All right, we can't have someone trying to get compensated because they inflicted, an injury to themselves. That will not work. Now, what violent crimes are available? What does that mean? Okay, here are what the violent crimes look like. Arson, I'm just gonna go through a little. Hit and run, hate crimes, human trafficking, criminal sexual assault, and the list goes on. Okay. Now, what type of expenses may the crime victims compensation program pay for, which is also important. Please read over all of this. Okay. Loss of support. So if there was someone in a household who head of the household end up passing away from a violent crime, there is up to 45,000 in reimbursements. Okay. Will you get all 45,000? Probably not, but just giving you a figure. All right. So if grandmother, children are in this home where they've lost the head of household who was supporting them, they would get compensated. How? Because they need to show us, well, they would show us receipts of what they have taken care of first and foremost. Okay. If they provided funeral burial, funeral service, let us see that receipt so we can reimburse you. Again, this is a reimbursement program. All right. So you see all those things there that we will compensate for or reimburse for. Okay. Take a good look at them all, read over all of them. All right. And then they say, who are the people that can apply for this? Okay. There was something new put in for the people that can apply because our domestic violence organizations sat with us and said, hey, there are some things that you all are missing here. There are some people that you all are missing here, and we need them to be included. Okay. And we've done just that. We included them into who can be compensated. Okay. What was one of them that we included? Let me see. I want to tell you which one it was. And I believe it is persons living in a dwelling in a relationship substantially similar to that of a parent, spouse, or child. Okay. I love one meaning a boyfriend or girlfriend that has been living, paying bills, doing everything. Okay. They may not be married, but they have been there supporting that loved one. All right. We've included that in there. But then of course you can read over all of the people who are eligible for this compensation. Okay. And the list goes on. The list goes on. Now, what do we compensate for? Psychological treatment of a mental or emotional condition caused or aggravated by the crime. Loss of earning for time off from work necessary to provide full-time care for the injured victim. Relocation if the crime occurred within the dwelling of the application. Okay, that is what we're going to compensate you for. So let me say this really quick, because I have a lot of faith-based pastors that ask me questions about reimbursement of funeral homes, which we do provide. If you need to connect with the funeral home and you tell them about what we offer first, they may not even ask you for money. Not all funeral homes participate in that capacity. Okay. But some of them do. They know that we offer the service and they know they will get reimbursed. But then you have those funeral homes that want their money up front. Okay. Give them that money. They will come to us. Okay. After you fill out your information, and we will provide that reimbursement. Okay. And it's the same way with going to some psychological treatment. Sometimes these people know about our services and they don't ask you for upfront payment because they know they're going to get the payment from us. We don't have a list. We don't provide any of that. You know, just whoever you go to, tell them first what you're looking to do. And if they agree to just getting the money from us first, then that can happen. Okay. As you see here, compensation available, medical, funeral, or burial expenses. Okay, a person who assumes legal obligation or voluntarily pays for a victim's expenses. So if your best friend or someone you close to says, hey, I'll just take care of everything as long as they can show us receipts, they will get the money back. And here is very briefly when we receive your application, how that process works. Okay, your application will be reviewed. Our office will obtain the police report and other documents necessary to determine your eligibility. And that's what I mentioned at the beginning, right? You will receive a phone call from our office to conduct an interview. If you are eligible, you will receive a letter requesting that you submit proof of your losses within 45 days of receiving the letter. You still have time, okay? Our office will verify your losses and will make a recommendation that will be reviewed by our court claims, right? A letter will be mailed to you by our office, and the award recommendation and all recommended payments will be issued by the Illinois Comptroller Office. Okay. Here's how you can apply. Everything that I mentioned here is on our website. Just go under publications. Okay. And it would have all the telephone numbers and it would have all the links that you need. Now, do I have to use insurance or other sources of payment? Yes, we want you to exhaust all other needs or all other monies that you may come across. Again, we are reimbursement. Okay. What type of expenses cannot be paid by the crime victims program? Any expenses not related to the crime. Pain and suffering. Stolen, damaged, or lost property, except locked doors and windows, right? That's a safety measure. It says, do I get the money for compensation? Payment will be reimbursed to you for your out-of-pocket expenses, paid or directly reimbursed to the service providers if the bills are outstanding. Compensation is not available for expenses that have not been previously paid or billed by a vendor. That is super important to know. Okay, if your claim is denied, you can file an appeal. All right, if your address changed, no worries. You know, go to your file and update your information. And what proof of my expenses should I keep? All your receipts, everything that you have. Okay, what if my claim was closed without payment because I could not find the bills or receipts? Just contact us. Communication is key. Okay, you will not be held against because you did not include something. We want to be able to assist you. Okay, so this is all the programs, not all, but these are the major programs that Robert asked me to bring to your attention. But one more, Robert, and I did not include it in my email to you earlier, which is our firearm restraint. The firearm restraint program is for those people who you know or who you think should not have a firearm. Okay, I want you all to go online and look up a firearm restraint. So if you have someone who has a mental illness and you know this person is going to possibly try to get a gun or register for a gun, if you know someone who is I don't know, a kid or someone who has access to a gun, you can go to the courts and make sure these people don't have access to these guns. Okay, so definitely check out our firearm restraint brochure. Everything I discuss is on online, and also I'm part of outreach. So if you need for me to connect with you all going forward at any events, I can provide a resource table with all this information. And plus, we'll have an attorney on board if they're available to actually go through all of the programs that we have. Okay? And so I'm done. All of this information again, I'm gonna stop sharing. is available to everyone. Please, please, please provide to me a email. I just sent out my information, guys. Provide to me an email for any questions that you have that I might not can answer right now. I don't want to give you the incorrect information. Okay? Take it away, Robert.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I really appreciate you. That was incredibly informative. I learned a lot, and per the chat, it seems like all the participants of this chat learned a whole lot. And I'm sure many of these leaders and advocates will be hitting you up pretty soon to allow you to join their tables and to get involved with the AG's office and all of the support you're providing to all of us. So really appreciate your time and effort.
Thank you.
Can't wait to have you on a call again.
Yes.
And I want to thank Artenise from Live Free as well for joining this call, providing all of that information. We're excited. We're eager. We're ready to mobilize to get the Office of Firearm Reduction in Chicago. Really appreciate that. I also want to just thank, he jumped off the call now, but want to thank Alderman Ronnie Mosley for joining our call, inspiring us, and continue to do the work as an elected official. And with that, I'll let you all get back to your regularly scheduled Mondays. As always, please feel free to email us if you have any questions. And yeah, we're excited. March's call is going to be as informative and incredible. So we invite everyone to our March call as well. And looking forward to it. We'll talk soon, everyone. Thank you for joining.